With so many industries flourishing here in the Lincoln Trail region, it can be overwhelming for job seekers to know where to start when exploring new career paths or when finding the employment opportunity that perfectly aligns with their expertise and passions. Fortunately, the Kentucky Career Center Lincoln Trail is here to help. I had the chance recently to sit down with Robin Gooden, Center Manager of the Kentucky Career Center Lincoln Trail, to talk about all the resources the Career Center has to offer for job seekers.
Robin, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, we used to chat all the time.
I know. We used to work together.
It's good to be able to sit down and talk to you a little bit about your new career.
Yes, I'm very excited about the Kentucky Career Center. I love working here.
Well, good.
Yes.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about it. Tell me a little bit about how the Career Center can assist those that are trying to venture into a new career path.
I think absolutely, and I think that's one of the key things about the Kentucky Career Center is that we're really there to help job seekers and employers kind of connect. One of the things that kind of a misconception that's happened for Kentucky Career Center is that we're the unemployment office, and we hear that a lot, especially after COVID and that sort of thing. However, that is a service that we provide. That is not what we do. What we do is an employment service. And so we're the employment office. We're trying to get people back to work. That's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to find their passions, their career paths, and really trying to work with them as to what they really want to do and have some fulfillment in it.
And it's not just like, hey, here's a job, go do that job. You are trying to find a job that fits their, as you mentioned, their passions and their enjoyment of employment, and to work it to where it's not just a job, it's a career.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what we're looking at is, a lot of people have moved to this, what do I really want to do? What's my passions about things? A lot of people aren't chasing the money anymore. They're looking at, maybe they've retired. Maybe they are just looking for a part-time position. There's all sorts of different things that people are looking for now that they didn't before. And I think that's why it's so important to sit down with them and kind of talk about their particular career path.
I know you guys partner a lot with community organizations to host and participate in job fairs and other events, and I'm sure you have a lot of things on your calendar
we
definitely want to fill everybody in on, so
yes.
they know what their options are coming up.
Well, first of all, let me tell you that we have 5 centers. So we have one in Lebanon, one in Bardstown, one in Litchfield, and then the Elizabethtown Community, the Comprehensive Center. And then we have an access point on Fort Knox. So we have a lot of locations where you can get information at. All of those locations have a job board that has information on there about all of the upcoming things that we're doing, either whether that be a calendar, whether that's the upcoming job fairs, or maybe even job postings themselves. So there's lots of ways that job seekers can find that information. So we have the Comprehensive Center in Elizabethtown, and that has not only all that information, but it also has the Career Development Office, which is a team of people who are career advisors. And a lot of those folks have been doing this for a long time, and they are very good at their job. And so they sit down with folks and talk about what all their needs are. So it may not be just that I'm looking for an employment, but I have some barriers to employment. And so if that happens, then they move those folks to the other partners in the building, whatever their need may be, in order to get them employed. So there's lots of different ways to do that. Each center has its own conglomerate of partners. And so in Elizabethtown, we have the community action is in the building. We have occupational vocational rehab. We have a career team, which helps with retraining and training options. And then we also have Job Corps, which is right there in the building. And then also veteran services. So all of those folks, they all come through the center, through the Career Development Office, talk to an advisor, find out what their specific needs are, and then they get referred out to all of those other folks. So it's a great system to be able to kind of help people get back to employment.
Yeah, so you're not trying to cram a round peg into a square hole.
Exactly. And then also, the fact that we're open on Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30, nobody has to make an appointment. You just walk in at any time that it's convenient for you, and you can kind of get these services. So on top of that, we do a lot of outreach. So we do some job fairs. We just did, the one yesterday with the Hardin County Chamber. We collaborated with them to do that one. Very successful job fair at the Pritchard Community Center. And then we did, so we have some upcoming ones that are in October. We have October 14th, where we're having a manufacturing month, which is October, manufacturing month. So we have a manufacturing job fair in October 14th from 1 to 5, I believe that one is. And that's in Bardstown. And then we have the one here in E-Town that's American Legion from on October 22nd. And at any time that we have all these different kind of activities, we have a calendar that we put out every month, and that sits on top of the counters at the Kentucky Career Centers.
Okay.
So you can, and generally, I think we also post those on our social media pages. So there's all sorts of opportunities where you can go to our page and find out kind of what's happening in the area. So so that's some of the two big job fairs that we have coming up in October. We also are trying this piloted new program. So some of our workshops have not been, in-person workshops have not been as successful as we'd like them to be. So we are trying a virtual workshop for resume writing, which we're really excited about. And that's October 11th. You do have to register for that, but there is some information out there to get registered for that.
Okay, and by the way, all this that we're talking about, if you are watching this at kentuckysheartland.com, just look right below this video and all this information is there. If you're watching on social media or you're watching on YouTube, you can go to kentuckysheartland.com, just click on this interview, and again, all that information will be listed right there, just in case we forget something.
Yes, because there's a lot to talk about, and I'm not sure I'm going to remember it all, but certainly there's those events that we're very excited about. And then at any given time, we have open interviews right there at the Kentucky Career Center. So currently we have one employer who comes in and does interviews every couple of weeks. And that person, that's open to the public. So if somebody comes in and decides they just want to come in for that particular interview, they can do that. And we hope to have a lot more of those as we work with different employers.
So let's talk about the employer side of it all. Just not to shift gears, but because if you want to go back, we can go back. But
sure.
I know you're trying to get people in career paths, but you got to have employers that are looking for qualified people. If somebody has got a business, if they're an employer and they're looking to fill roles, what do they need to do to get to work with the Kentucky Career Center?
Right. Well, we have a whole other team of people. I usually do the job seeker side, and there's a business team lead that does the kind of helps with employers. But they are able to sit down with employers and set up an entire plan of action, whatever needs that the employer has. So maybe they want to do a targeted job fair. Maybe they just want to participate in some job fairs. Maybe they want to get on our virtual platform. There's all sorts of options for them. Maybe they just want some labor market information. So whatever their particular needs are, that business team lead will sit down with them and create a plan of action as to what all the things the Career Center can do for them. And so they do that periodically with as many employers as they can. And we certainly encourage them to do that because it's really important for us. One of the other things as the job seeker side is that we can also post those jobs in all of our centers. So let's say you have a position that you have open and it's been open for a while, you're trying to find some candidates. We can then post that job description at our centers, and so that the public can see that and see that you have an open position. And then also we just started a new program as well for resume collection. So if job seekers want to drop off their resumes, we can then, let's say that a company says to me, you know, I have 5 production worker positions open. Then I can go through the manufacturing side of those resumes, pull those and send them to the employer and say, listen, these folks haven't been vetted. They're not interviewed. It's just an opportunity for you to have some additional job seekers. And so that gives them the opportunity to kind of have some folks that they can contact and see if they're interested in that position.
Okay, now you talk about you've got the people looking for jobs, you've got the people with jobs, getting them connected. To me, it would seem like common sense, but it really is not, because not everybody has had that background to know how to apply for a job. So if you were giving somebody advice, like there's an upcoming job fair, what would you tell them to put how they could put the best foot forward to look enticing to an employer?
I think the number one thing is their resume. As someone who has been in professional career fields over the years, I'd say
Just a couple years.
Just a couple years. I'd say one of the biggest things about resume writing is that it changes over time. So what I did 20 years ago is not what the employers are looking for today. So I think it's really important for folks to come in and kind of revamp it, look it over, make sure that it's, has all their experience on it, make sure that it's up to date and all those kind of things. Additionally, it's really important to craft those resumes to each job that you're applying for. And so that's a really big portion of that. And sometimes that's going to be kind of hard if you haven't done that for a long time. Additionally, some folks, for instance, we have construction workers who come in and can't do that line of work anymore, and they're looking for something else. So then that's a whole different kind of resume. So I think resumes, certainly that's number one in trying to make sure that folks are ready for these job fairs or ready for employers or any of those kind of things. And then, of course, the common things like don't show up to a job fair in your pajamas. That's not going to help you very well. Dress for the job that you're looking for. And it doesn't necessarily, certainly we've all gotten a little casual with our workwear. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be suit and tie, but it certainly could be, khakis and, appropriate attire, casual attire. And so that's kind of important. I think one of the things too is some of those soft skills of, shaking someone's hand and making eye contact and making sure you're talking with folks and all those kind of things. And we do have some availability for them to do that through their career advisors. They can kind of talk to them if they need some additional help with those kind of skills. So lots of different ways we can help them get ready. We also have, sometimes we do mock interviews to see. We have platforms that we use to do those. We encourage people to do mock interviews, and now they have what's called Career Edge, and you can go on there and do your mock interview, and it's kind of weird for the rest of us, but you do the interview, and then you can play it back and see how your body language changed, which I think is a little weird, but folks.
Well, it's no different than a football team watching game film.
Exactly. And then also, the kind of the younger generation too is so used to seeing themselves in selfies and et cetera. So it's probably not that big of a deal for them, but it really is an important piece because we don't realize some of the things that we say with our body language, and so we want to make sure that that's all in check when we go into interviews. So lots of different ways that we can help with that. Mainly just, being there and attempting to do all these things. One of the biggest things is the courage to walk into a job fair and say, I'm going to apply today. We'll see where this takes me. And so I talk to a lot of people at job fairs, and I talk to a lot of people about their passion for work and what they want to do. And I encourage people to just really look at the passion of what you want to do. Don't let go of that dream yet. There's a way to find a place in this world for you, in the sense of purpose.
And when you're doing these resumes, it literally is an elevator speech. We talk about if you had 30 seconds to tell somebody whatever you wanted to tell them on an elevator, what would you do? It's like the written version of that. So that's why you want to change it around. So I think it's great.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, statistically, we found that employers will look at your resume for 6 seconds. That's a big impression in 6 seconds. And some algorithms, if I got that word right. So some algorithms will, if your name is not the first thing it sees, it'll kick it out completely. So these are things that we want to make sure that folks know about to make sure that they don't miss their opportunity before they ever get a chance.
Yeah, that's a great advantage to have. It really, truly is. So if you want to learn more about the Kentucky Career Center Lincoln Trail and the career services that are available, you can go to their website, which is ltcareercenter.org, or you can always call them at 270-766-5115. Again, that's 270-766-5115. Robin, thanks for all that information.
Welcome.
There's a bunch.
Yeah, it really is a lot. I don't know if I covered it all, but there is a calendar out there, so hopefully people will take advantage and look at what's going on at the next month.
All right, again, if you're watching this at Kentucky'sHeartland.com, all the information is right below this video. If you're watching on social media, if you're watching on YouTube, you can go to Kentucky'sHeartland.com, look for this interview, and again, all that information is right there, and there's a bunch of stuff coming up. Robin, again, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, that's your monthly Work Matters segment for the Kentucky Career Center, Lincoln Trail.